Hi folks, Puffin here with your Antifa News Briefa for December 28, 2021. Another mass shooting, this time here in my own hometown of Lakewood, Colorado, and Denver, Colorado, and other towns in Colorado. There was a shooter terrorist possibly, who killed 4 different people, wounded 7 more people, in 8 different locations so far that they've counted. Yesterday they were reporting 5 different locations. Now it's 8 different locations around different cities, so it took them a while to catch up to him because he went to different places, for one thing, I guess, and different jurisdictions dealing with it. A police officer did shoot him and kill him, so there are reasons for police officers, even armed police officers, and some good cops, not just stormtroopers, who can do their jobs correctly when needed eventually. The reporting on it is sketchy and spotty at best. And as soon as that happens, as soon as anything happened, as soon as I heard the shots yesterday, I heard at least a few shots yesterday from my house. So as soon as it happens, there's not much information about it. We heard they locked down local shopping centers. People were, locked into the movie theaters and stuff, even after they killed the shooter, I guess, just to be on the safe side to see if there were other people involved. But they determined, I think ultimately, that he was the only shooter involved, and he has since been killed. I think his name was Lyndon McLeod. And that information just came out about 30 minutes before I started this report. I was going to go ahead and report on this last night, and I was going to say, in my intuition, he's a Trumper terrorist, and the longer it took them to release any more information about him, the more I felt like this was definitely true. Now that they have released more information about him, the information is that he's blonde-haired, white male, registered Republican, with extremist views, and they're now combing through his writings about his extremist views. But his extremist views as a registered Republican, everything's checking all the boxes of a Trumper terrorist. And it just so happens that every terrorist who's been shooting people in America and killing people in America for the past year, 2, 3 years has been a Trumper. And it just so happens that every time this happens, and it happens every week or two, every time this happens, the media will talk about it up to the point of revealing that they're a Trumper. And then at that point, they'll start talking about the next one, because another one will have started killing people at that time. And no one seems to want to connect the dots that all these Trumpers who are terrorists, who are terrorizing people and killing people, are all Trumper terrorists. We know that the San Jose transit shooter was a Trumper terrorist. We know that for a fact. We can speculate about most of the rest of them, and they all fit Trumper terrorists from every piece of information I know. Let me know in comments if there's an example of a single one who's not a Trumper terrorist. But this one appears to also be a Trumper terrorist. And so my claim that we should have been arresting some Trumpers, especially Trump himself and some other people higher up on the ladder, would have saved lives. It would have saved lives because you would stop people from spreading lies about the vaccine and lies about the virus, for one thing. But it would save lives because it would stop people from thinking they can go around terrorizing people and thinking they can go shooting people. Now, this guy, he might have been 18 steps away from Trump in the Trump terrorism network. He might have been 1 or 2 steps away from, for all I know, Trump tweeted him directly or texted him directly and activated his terrorism. The problem is, even if there are 18 layers, if you take out the top layer, if you take out Putin and Zuckerberg and Trump and you put them in jail or wherever they belong, it's going to scare people even 18 layers down out of committing terrorist acts. It's going to let them realize, hey, their guy's not coming back. He's not going to pardon them. He's not going to let them back out of jail. He's done it for some of them so far, but they can still go back to jail. The media is guilty of, again, delaying the information. If it had been a black suspect or a suspect who was Muslim, by any indication could have been Muslim, they would be talking about whether or not it's terrorism. Are they talking about whether or not this is terrorism when someone goes to 8 different locations shooting people, seemingly random people. At the same time, he was possibly targeting tattoo parlors because he was a tattoo artist, or he was targeting Native American activists because one of the people he shot was a Native American activist. Did he possibly kill 3 other people and almost kill 10 other people, or who knows how many other people, all to cover up the fact that this was a planned assassination of an activist? Maybe an FBI agent? Possibly. Investigate the FBI. Hashtag investigate the FBI. We know that the FBI coordinates with terrorists because most of the time you hear about the FBI, it's because they've entrapped someone. They were going to sell somebody a bomb, but that person turned out to be an FBI agent who was selling them the bomb. So they arrested them instead. But they do that for certain ethnicities and certain types of terrorism, and yet white supremacist terrorists, they seem to say, go, go, go. They seem to say, we'll coordinate with you, we won't stop you, we'll let you do your thing, because the FBI apparently is white supremacist terrorists too. And I say go, go, go because that's the language Jaden X used, who a Republican Congressman Gohmert has outed as an FBI agent. He's not in jail. He claimed that the FBI took him in, but when I asked him on his live feed, who were the FBI agents who contacted you, he wouldn't show me, banned me. But he's walking around and his brother's talking to Alex Jones. Again, part of the conspiracy. But he's walking around, and an FBI agent possibly. So investigate the FBI, because if we need to abolish the FBI, if we need to put every FBI agent who's corrupted by this Trumpism and this Trump's direction into jail, we can do that. We got enough jails. We can make space once we let all the weed smokers out. So we're going to take care of this, and we're going to turn it around, but they should have turned it around earlier. If you'd started arresting Trumpers, if you'd arrested some Trumper terrorists, if you'd investigated the FBI, if you'd put the FBI in jail, 4 people would have been alive today that got killed by a Trumper terrorist. And if the media starts calling them what they are, Trumper terrorists, then we'll stop this. We'll round them up. We'll grab them by the posse, hashtag grab them by the posse if necessary. If Joe Biden can't wake up and do his duty and protect our country, he sent everybody else back to work. Why doesn't his ass get to work? But that's true for America. And yeah, journalists, y'all are supposed to be part of it, but you decided to turn traitor and cover up all the Trumpy crimes as much as you can and appeal to the Trumpers as much as you can. Nah. Trumpers aren't American. They've gotten their American cards revoked. And you're getting yours revoked too, American media, if you won't call a Trumper terrorist what they are. You know you would have been speculating about whether or not it's a terrorist if it had been not a white person. You wouldn't tell us that it was a white person, but we could guess because you weren't speculating. That's your racism. We're all used to it. We're all so used to it, we almost don't see it anymore. But it's time to see it. It's time to expose it. It's time to call it out and stop protecting Trumper terrorists. All the way up to Putin and Zuckerberg. Arrest them all. Seize Facebook. Nationalize it. Let every country run their own. See my other videos about this stuff. Puffin for President. AOC 24. Pillow Revolution. Some other hashtags you can check out. But yeah, it's time to get this done. Thanks for watching your Antifa News Briefa. Terrorists are hitting a little too close to my home. But if you don't feel this way yet, maybe you can pick up on it from what I'm putting on this video. Hopefully you don't feel this way yet, except for guaranteed you will, because a Trumper strikes again every 2 weeks, every week or two. As soon as they tell you the last one's a Trumper, they'll have another one killing people to take the heat off. But connecting the dots is not hard. It all spells Trump. It all spells Putin. It all spells Zuckerberg. It all spells treason, genocide, terrorism. Stop them. And this goes all the way up to their senators and their Supreme Court justices. You can remove them and arrest them for treason, for taking part in a Trumpy, treasonous, Putinist plan. And again, I call them Trump Putineers because it's the best word for them. They're like mutineers. They've turned on the ship of America. They've turned against our captain. They've turned against democracy. And they're doing it for Trump and Putin. So I put all those together, Trump Putineers. Let's start arresting at least the bigwigs, but you can arrest them all. You can round them all up for safety's sake. You don't need to round up all the guns. You can round up all the terrorists. And that's where they got it. Thanks for watching, sharing. Love you forever. See you soon.